You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there. But today, of course, we're talking about digital ebook signing, and this is exciting. This is a new feature. This is a feature we've been talking about this for a while. This is something this feature was probably born about a year or so ago in terms of the idea. And we've got some stuff to show you guys today. This session is going to be less of like an instructional, like how to do this sort of thing, because this is not available on your dashboard just yet. This is more of a sneak peek at how the feature works. I'm sorry if you came here expecting the feature to be ready to go and it's on your dashboard now, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. But I want to kind of pitch you on some of the use cases for this in today's session. So once it's ready to launch, you've already thought about it and you're like, oh, hey, yeah, I know what to do with this feature. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. I am going to do also a brief demo, show you how it's done. I've got a tablet here as well as my phone. I can show you in a few different ways how you can do this, what it looks like. I can kind of demo it for you in that respect. But the full user interface is something that once the feature is released, we'll probably do another follow-up webinar that shows you step by step how to create events and so forth that you are, for your ebook signing, right? So some things might change a little bit as we get closer to release. So keep that in mind. This is more of a sneak peek, so you have an idea of what's to come. All right. We've got about 91 people here, 90 or so. I think that's plenty. We're about 7 minutes in past the hour. So let's go ahead and dive in. So this features sneak peek on digital ebook signing. Here's what we're going to cover. And this is a little short because we're going to talk about some use cases and then I'm going to actually show you. So, and then there's going to be some time for questions at the end. I anticipated there would be questions. So we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A as we go through this session. So let's first talk about what digital ebook signing is. Like, what are we talking about here? What even is this? Basically, digital ebook signing is an upcoming feature that allows you to sign ebooks for readers at events. When you sign an ebook for a reader, readers will receive a link to their customized ebook by email with your signature, message, any other customization that you added to it. They get a link to their customized version of that book. In addition to that, the feature performs best, I should mention, on a tablet, but it works on smartphones and it can even be used on computers like a laptop with a touchpad. It can work there as well. But generally speaking, the feature is kind of designed for you to be like out in the field, in person with readers, signing ebooks there. That being said, it does have some other applications, and we'll get to that here in a moment. This feature, I should mention, as I already have, it's not yet released, so some details might change from what we talk about today between now and the feature's launch. So just keep that in mind, right? There's a few things that might change as we go along. So some use cases for digital ebook signing that I want to have you think about, because I think the first one should be pretty obvious, that in-person signings, this feature can complement your paperback and hardback signings that you're already doing. So if you're already doing that sort of thing, this is something else you can offer. As maybe you want to sign books for everybody, and maybe instead of readers being expected to bring something, if nobody has anything that they brought with them or they didn't bring a book to sign, then you can do this as kind of a backup, or again, in addition to all of that. There's also some tools there for building your mailing list this way. We'll talk about that in a moment. Online events are a great opportunity to take advantage of the feature as well. So it allows you to engage with readers in a digital ebook signing, if you will. And this is perhaps where like, oh, now I see, because at in-person signings, usually you're signing physical books. And that's typically the norm. If you tell a reader, hey, would you like a signed ebook at an in-person event? They might be like, man, I got the paperback right here. You could sign that. But I mean, sure. But at an online event, it makes a lot more sense. And that might be easier for you to organize and manage. So this could be just a digital signing event that you do. This could be a book club. You could do this over a Zoom call, right? Or what have you. So there's lots of ways that you could do this for your readers in an online context, right? And even find new readers this way. So this is where I also want to mention social media live streams. I know they're online as well, but essentially social media live streams can become a way to build your mailing list by giving away signed copies of your reader magnet. I'll show you here shortly what I mean by building your mailing list. Yes, it can be done. Basically, you're able to check a box and they're signing up for your mailing list. This means you can do TikTok live and probably have to use a QR code to link people to somewhere they can give you their email more securely. You wouldn't want them doing that in the chat directly, but you can do live stream events like that where you might have readers coming through and you can grow your mailing list that way. This is something that's kind of really exciting in my opinion, because I know some authors use TikTok Live and other live stream platforms to sell books. But if in addition to that, you can build your mailing list from doing those sorts of live events on social media. If that's already part of your business model, it slots right in there. All right. Where's the next? There we go. Assigned ebooks can also be used as giveaways and prizes for contests or as rewards for mailing list subscribers. So keep that in mind. And then the last one here, Kickstarter campaigns and Patreon rewards as well. That's another use case for it. Maybe part of your Kickstarter campaign, it's just another little thing that you can add in there. You get a signed ebook version at this tier or at this Patreon level, what have you. Your ebooks will be signed, or there'll be a custom message, something like that. So that's another use case. There's probably more use cases than I have here, but that's kind of the gist of it. So either you're using this at in-person events, but I think in my opinion, the place where you can leverage this the most is in online events, especially on social media. I'm really excited to see some authors start using this in live streaming and that sort of thing, because I think it's a great way to build engagement and build your mailing list at the same time in that context. So now it's demo time, right? So I am going to show you how this is done here. First, let's go ahead and I'm actually going to I'm going to switch to sharing a different window. This is going to be here on my computer. I am on a MacBook, on a laptop with a touchpad. This is just to show you kind of what the basic interface looks like right now. Some of this is potentially going to change here in the future, but you can enter the reader's name first. This is useful for a few things. For starters, if they're going to join your mailing list, that data will be added when they get added to your mailing list. But it's also, if you're at an in-person event, it's really useful for you to ask their name and be able to spell it out first before you then have to like write a custom message to, whoever, if that's what you're doing, right? So let's say we're doing this for Jack. I got to click back in there. There we go. And there we go. We'll just put in an email here. We can optionally, again, have them join the author's mailing list. We'll leave that clicked off for now, but you have the option to do that there. You can just ask them in person, like, hey, do you want to sign up for my mailing list? Or if you're doing an online event, maybe that's just assumed. You can check that box. And from there, you can select which book you want to sign. We have 2 books in here right now, so I could just select whichever one I want. And you'll notice that we have some options here for either signing a blank page, signing the cover of the book itself, or these other alternatives, which you'll be able to create these as well. So you could create a separate sheet that you would sign. I personally like the cover signing. This cover is a little busy, but if we select that one, it'll open up this window here where now I can sign this cover directly. Again, I probably want to use white for this context, and then I'll just sign really here, on my touchpad. It probably takes some practice. You can clear it if you screw it up. Let me try again here. Whoa, that was really wild. See, I looked at my fingers instead of looking at the screen. Don't do that, but you get the idea. Now, a touchpad is not the ideal method. I'm just kind of demoing this here for you. You can even change colors and add some additional text here in a different color if you wanted to. So you could draw a picture for them. There's all kinds of things that you could do with it. You can, again, clear it if you need to. We can change sort of essentially the width of the marking, right? We can make that thicker if we want to. So something like this, you have quite a few options. Now, some of these tools are going to change by the time this is released. This is kind of more in a testing mode at this point in time. So if you have thoughts, you have feedback, put that in the Zoom chat here. We're definitely open to your feedback, anything you might have. But once this is signed, once I've signed this for the reader, I can click Save and Send, and that will send them a link to that book. That's the idea. Now, if I want to exit out of this, I can just click here and I can go back and I can start over from scratch. If maybe I changed my mind or something, I'll show you the blank page here as well. This is just going to be a blank page that will be inserted before the cover image. So when the reader downloads their book, that's where that blank page will appear. If you sign the cover, you're signing the actual cover of the book. And so when they open the book, the book cover itself will be signed, right? When they open it in their BookFunnel app or any other reader that they happen to be using. But here with a blank page, this is a great place where I could write a message, right? So I could write, dear so-and-so, right? And I could write an entire message here if I wanted to. This would be a great way to do that with this blank page option. Again, I'm showing you this here using my computer so you can really see the interface. In a moment here, I'm going to show you doing this without, not here on the screen, but actually on a device. And in that respect, you'll see you have a little bit more control over the signing function. It's really not designed for this trackpad, right? But in a pinch, it could work, right? I'm going to show you here on this device now. So I've got just an iPad here, and I've got that page open. And from here, you'll see with my fingertip, it's much easier for me to control how I sign right there. Much more legible, in my opinion. Again, the trackpad, just not exactly made for this, right? But I can sign right here, right? And then again, click save and send, and that will send that right off to the reader. And if you sign the cover, that's going to be the actual book cover that they receive. And you'll see this is the actual cover of the book that has the signature. I even drew a few little doodles on this thing using some different colors just to test it out. And so that appears on the actual cover of the book. And then as they swipe, they're just reading the book in their browser. And so we will also be demoing this. I think we have some upcoming events we're going to be doing it at. For sure, we'll be doing this at Author Nation. If you're going to be joining us there in Vegas, we will be demoing it in person. The idea is hopefully at that point, we have the feature ready to go. Hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of the quick and dirty of how the feature works. I want to get to your questions here. That was kind of the main point of today. There's a ton of chats here already. And so I want to get to those, any questions that you guys might have, and we'll go ahead and run through those. So I'm going here from the top, and let's see. So Suzanne asks, can you send customers signed ebooks? Yes, you would be able to do that. You could have them purchase it through your store, and just note that there is a manual kind of delivery element to this if you're signing it. So you'll want to make sure that readers are aware of that. They'll be getting those ebooks, probably not delivered immediately, but delivered once you manually sign them. Let's see. Will it work with, it does, I should mention, yes, it does also work if you have a, the Apple Pen or any other touchscreen pens, works with those as well. Or I'm blanking on the name, a stylus, it can work with that as well. So if you prefer that over using your finger, that is also an option. I don't have one of the Apple Pens to demonstrate with at this time. I need to get one of those, but that, yes, that is also an option. Oh, so question here from DG. I'm assuming that it's designed with the assumption that the device they're handing you to sign is a touchscreen. You will not be taking their device. You'll be doing it on your own device, right? So you will have the device, and yes, you'll be doing it on a touchscreen. So you want to have your own tablet, smartphone, what have you, ready to go. And so you're at an in-person event, for example, you can just have your tablet, put in their name, put in their email, sign the book, and you're ready to go. Meg says, BookFunnel is the best. You have changed the game for indie authors. Well, hey, thank you, Meg. We do what we can. We do our best. Shopify sales or WooCommerce from Megan and Tracy here. Yes, just like I described, you could sell these. Just keep in mind, there's a manual delivery component of this. If you're manually signing those ebooks, right? In theory, right, you could have already delivered a signed ebook by adding a signature to the cover's image, and it's just delivering the same thing to everybody. But if you want to deliver a uniquely signed ebook and perhaps a message to go along with it, this is what that feature would be built for. And so, yes, you could use that with Shopify. Just note that the reader is going to have to wait until you actually sign the book. Is this being beta tested live on BookFunnel? Not yet, Cindy. This is in the final stages of development. We'll hopefully have it ready for, I think there might be, I say that, but we might have one or two authors who are doing some kind of alpha testing. We might have a beta available in the near future. Patricia, I'm glad you're stoked for this. I am as well. Yes, Suzanne asks, there was a couple of us at RWA. I personally was not. Emma and Kelly were there though, and demoed the feature. Amanda, sounds like you were there at RWA and you also saw it. That's awesome. So Tracy asks, I have over 200 titles. Can I search for the book to sign, or do I have to scroll for it? Tracy, we're still working out some of the user interface, so I can't show you directly how this would work, but you'll be able to create sort of an event and have some way to kind of select through those titles beforehand. So it should make it easier rather than having to scroll through 200 books. So yes, there will be some way to manage that. I can't show you directly just yet because we're still kind of in the development stage. Let's see. Christy asks, did you say we can change the page that we sign? So yes, you have the ability to do a couple of different things. And actually, this might be easier to show by sharing that screen. Excuse me. So you'll see here, we have a couple of options. I can sign a blank page. I can sign the cover. And then this sheet here is one that was sort of custom. So you can create your own custom signing sheets that you'll sign on, and you could use this as well. We have at RWA, we also did that with this is actually one of our guides that hasn't been released yet, just to demo this. And so we have a few examples, right? RWA was in Niagara Falls, so we had this as an example. So you can sort of customize one of these pages if you want to upload a separate sheet to use, so you have that option as well. Megan asks, can you customize the colors available to match branding? So this is a good question. For right now, we just have these 6 colors available, basically the primary colors plus yellow, white, and black. However, that's something that I could see us adding in the future. In fact, I'm going to make a note of that here, because that is a good suggestion, in my opinion. That's a very good suggestion. So let me make sure I don't lose that. I'm literally typing this into our group chat at BookFunnel, so you know I'm actually doing it. Okay, I put it in there, and we will, like I said, if you have any questions, you're like, hey, can it do this? Can it do that? It'd be great if it could do this. Put those in the chat here. This is a great time actually for you to give us that feedback, because we're still in the middle of, not in the middle, but toward the end of developing. Do you have to sign the cover, or can it be the inside page? So from what it looks like right now, it's basically the cover or a blank page or a custom page here. It's not necessarily the inside page, so to speak, to answer your question, but that's the options that you have. So it doesn't have to be the cover itself. Yeah, so Beck says signing via mouse as the ultimate and not ideal. What technology do you suggest? I suggest a touch screen, right? So sharing my screen, for the purposes of sharing my screen, using my computer is ideal to show you the interface. You're right. It is not ideal for signing. It could work in a pinch, but yeah, your smartphone can also do this just as well, as it has a touch screen, and it will be easy enough for you to access. If you log in through your browser on your smartphone into your BookFunnel dashboard, you'll be able to create an event and do a signing right there from your smartphone. You could sign an ebook from your smartphone. Yes. So Tammy says here, would love to be able to select a hex code for signing, to sign a specific color. I kind of technically already added that, but I'll also put in that specifically here. So can you upload a signature that you created someplace else? Meg asks this question. That is something that we have explored at this time. The feature doesn't have that functionality just yet, but the ability to save a signature is on our development roadmap for this feature. Well, let's see. It may be interesting to have a bookplate style options instead for templates. That's interesting. Philomena, I'm going to make a note of that here. Very good. Let's see. I have half title pages in my book. Could I sign those? Or does it have to be the cover? So you would be able to upload those sheets here as this example. So you could upload one of those half title pages and sign that as well as a separate sheet. As far as where that would be placed, right now, typically it's being placed at the beginning of the ebook where the signature is going. However, the functionality to be able to sign a specific page of the ebook is something that is also on our development roadmap. Let's see. Custom. I'm seeing a lot of custom colors. If you're on a computer, you can get a mouse pen system. Yes, there are systems like that. A Wacom tablet is actually, my wife did graphic design, so I'm familiar with that. So yes, that could be something you could do if you have access to one of those. Yes. So Laura, I sell a fair amount of ebook and audio in person. This would be a great add-on for those buyers. You're going to need a new tablet though. Yes. Yes. The beauty of it here at the BookFunnel team, we're all, because obviously BookFunnel provides us tablets, we're all getting new tablets. So it's kind of great for us. I'm afraid we can't provide new tablets to authors, but we've talked about doing a giveaway at Author Nation though. So if you come to Author Nation, there might be a giveaway for an iPad or something. We'll see. If you sign the blank page, where will the page appear in the book? For right now, it's appearing at the very beginning, right? So before the book cover, that's the very first thing they would see when they open the book. However, the ability to put that somewhere else is potential as well. So if that's something you guys would like, that's why we're doing this. I can get your feedback and we can give that to our team, our dev team here once we're done. Oh, let's see. Where do the actual book files come from? Do you have to upload them to BookFunnel? Nancy's asking. Yes. So you would create the book in BookFunnel first. Those are the files that BookFunnel will deliver. When you sign the cover, we will replace the internal cover image with the signed image, or we'll add whatever you've signed to that ebook file. That's something we can do very easily, but you don't have to like upload a new book each time you're signing one. You just upload your books normally, and then you have the ability to sign them for each user. Let's see here. If you sign the blank page, does that become the new cover? Okay, I guess I've maybe kind of answered this. These comments are a few minutes in the past, so I don't fault people for repeating the same question. Essentially, it doesn't replace the book cover. It goes before the book cover. If you like to be able to put it in a different place, I can obviously pass the feedback along. So the ideal setup to do this during a signing is to have a tablet and a digital pen. Probably your finger might be okay, but a digital pen is probably going to be ideal, right? Like an Apple Pen or something like that. I also highly recommend you get a case that has one of these straps so that you can just, easily. That's something totally different. But like, if you want to min-max your ideal setup, then yes, you would want to have the tablet with the pen and some convenient way to hold it. Amanda has a question: would we be able to sign the cover but add a personalization inside as well? That is a great question, Amanda. At this time, that might be something that we have to add, but I'm going to make a note of that. Elle asks, do you have to create a landing page to access the signing option? Good question, Elle. No, it's going to be something different. It's going to be, at least for the time being, what we're calling an event. So you'll create an event. That event will be associated with a certain book or books, and then you can sign those books by accessing that event. So it is not a landing page. It is its own separate thing. However, when the book is delivered to the readers by email, they will see your thank you page with the ability to download the book. That link will also be a private link if they choose to sign up for your mailing list. Or actually, it will be a private link anyway, regardless. So it'll have all the same security features as well. Okay, so EL asks, so how would it work? I open a blank page, sign a page, and then what? Well, once you click deliver, that link gets sent to the reader. The reader then downloads the book, or they read it in their browser. And then when they're reading it in their browser, they're going to see your message, the signature, right when they open up the book. So it's going to be, they're going to get the book just as they would any other ebook through BookFunnel with your custom signature or message added to it. So question here, will it work with a PC tablet? Yes, it will work with any, basically any touchscreen device that you can log into your BookFunnel dashboard on, right? So it can work on Android, it can work on iPad, it can work on any other type of tablet. You just need to be able to log into your BookFunnel dashboard in the native browser on that device, and then you'd be able to use the touch screen of the device to sign it. Let's see, question. So you're not manipulating the EPUB file currently, you're only replacing the cover image with the new signature page. Essentially, although technically the cover isn't only replaced if you sign the cover. If you use a blank page, the cover is still there. We don't replace the cover with a blank page, but yes, we're essentially adding that page to the EPUB file. So Jenna asks, we still couldn't upload a KU book though, right? Still against Amazon terms of service. So wider freebies only. This is a good question, Jenna. Strictly speaking, yes. Strictly speaking, yes. You would not be able to do this with a KDP Select book without violating Amazon's terms of service. I mean, there's some question of whether or not the reader's going to tattle on you because you're doing it in such a discreet way. You're sending it to one reader at a time, but depends on how you're doing it. Right. I would stay away from it. I know some authors going to be out there and they're going to do it and they're going to try it. But yeah, generally speaking, no. That said, that doesn't mean that you couldn't do sort of a cover signing where you're going to upload the sort of an empty book to BookFunnel that contains just the cover, and you add a custom message without delivering the book itself. So that's one way that you could kind of go about doing it. I mean, there might be other ways too, but for right now, that's like the first thing that's coming to mind. Create a book on BookFunnel that just has the cover, doesn't have the content, and sign the cover, and they can get the book through Kindle Unlimited instead. So Cynthia asked question, will it work through the app or only through the browser? I was not clear on that point. So Cynthia, for your author dashboard, you can only access that through your browser. For the reader, it works either way. And in fact, the reader is still able to get their book to their Kindle app or on their Kobo or their Nook or whatever app or device they're using. The reader's method of accessing the book doesn't change. You just have to be able to access your BookFunnel dashboard in order to actually do the signing itself. And so on an iPad, for example, you would open up Safari or you'd open up Chrome on a different tablet or something like that in order to sign into your BookFunnel dashboard as an author, and then from there deliver the signed ebook. So I love this idea. I can have my library of books to pick from and do custom signings, then reset the form for the next custom signature. Yes. Amanda, let's see. We have new comments coming in. It's making it jump. You could add an epilogue or preface or something that doesn't violate the terms of service. Yes, that would be a way to do it. It's a question of whether or not they want you to sign the cover of that actual book, right? But yes, you could add some other content in there. I would also probably add a disclaimer in the content that says this is just for the purpose of signing. Or digital ebook signing. It is not the actual book, even though I'm using the cover or something like that. Yes, you could add something like that in there. So if you provide a personalized message, will all others get that message? No, this is delivered to one reader at a time. So that reader gets that message and that's it, right? You would have to, we have talked about the idea of being able to store signatures and potentially store messages that you could reuse. There's obvious applications for that. But when you're doing this custom signature method, no, you are signing the book for that one reader, and they get that message, and then the next reader gets their own. Other readers will not be able to see that link to that unique version of the book is only delivered to that reader. How do they add the signed cover to their book through KU? They would not be able to, Suzanne. So since they're not side loading, they're not going to be able to. This might mean that you might not have very many KU readers who are interested in that, right? For you to sign the books that are in KU, that is a hurdle there for those readers because they're not going to be able to add it as their cover in their Kindle app or their Kindle device. That said, it's still an option. You could also sign your reader magnet, for example. So in some cases, it might not be applicable, or your readers might not be as interested if they're getting their books primarily through KDP Select. But it's also a question of how you're are you doing this publicly and to a wide audience? If you're going to do this publicly in a place where it's easily discoverable and probably online, and you're going to sign ebooks that you have in KDP Select, is it possible that Amazon's going to find out? Yeah, it's possible. Are you doing a signing at an in-person event at your local bookstore and you're delivering a discrete link to individual readers one at a time? Is Amazon going to necessarily find out about that? Probably less likely. You do with that information what you will. That's up to you. Right? I cannot recommend one way or the other, but keep that in mind. When do I anticipate this will be available to use? Donna, that's a good question. We are aspiring to have it ready to go at the latest by Author Nation in November, if not sooner, but that's kind of our target. Jenna, I love the idea of using this for the reader magnet and connecting it to the newsletter for Facebook and live events. Yes, Jenna, once it's out there, I want you to tell me all about how you used it. TikTok and Facebook Live and anywhere you do live stream. I think it's gonna be a webinar in the future. It's gonna be a webinar. I already know it, because just the idea that you're gonna be able to, basically the setup is this. If you have your TikTok Live going on, obviously authors use TikTok Live to sell their books directly through their TikTok shop sometimes, all kinds of things. But what about the readers who are just scrolling and see you on their TikTok feed and they're like, what's this all about? And they're maybe not ready to buy your book, but you're like, yeah, you can get this book for free and I'll sign it for you. You just have to join my mailing list. How you get them the link is one hurdle. QR code is one option. Different platforms, it's going to function differently. How you get them the link, because you need a way to get their email address. I would not recommend telling people to put their email addresses in chat on a public live stream. Not a good idea. So yeah, there's that. But you're gonna get their email address somehow, and then you can be signing the ebooks and delivering them as you're still live streaming. And you're building your mailing list. These people are signing up for your mailing list as you're doing it. So I think that's really powerful. Right? Imagine if you did a 3-hour live stream, which 3 hours might sound like a lot, but that's kind of the minimum viable length for most. If streaming is going to be a big component of your business model, 3 hours is what I recommend you do. Anything less than that, and you're going to have issues with the performance of the stream. You do that for around 3 hours, and you're getting You know, it's not just the quantity of readers you're going to get though, right? But it's the quality and the connection. Like these people, you probably are going to say their name out loud, their first name at least, in the stream. You're going to sign the ebook with a custom message for them, even deliver it to them. Just think about the connection that's building with readers. Yeah, that's making me really excited. That's the thing I'm most excited for. Here at BookFunnel, everybody's excited for different things. I'm like live streaming, guys. That's where it's all at. But you could also do like a book club, right? If you hop on a Zoom call once a week with your readers for a book club signing, and sign some ebooks for a few of those members, it's an incentive for them to come to the book club. Maybe you don't sign it for everybody. Maybe you give away a few, right? Deanne says having just a signed cover or a blank page message might mean a lot to KU readers. You never know. Yeah, that's the thing is KU readers. I agree. KU readers are readers. Right? There's maybe some different behavior between KU readers and non-KU readers for sure, but they're still readers. And if they love your books, I don't think it matters where they found you. They're still going to want to connect with you in that way. And that is the power of this feature. It gives you the ability to connect with readers and to do so in a way that you can't necessarily do with just, paperback signings. There's some hurdles for that. So it gives you some flexibility. Let's see. I do virtual signings where we do pre-orders, but adding this element would be amazing. Any idea when this will be going live? So like I mentioned, we're aiming for Author Nation in November. I am going to add that as a note here, though, to add that to pre-orders. Okay, this isn't a question, but I have to say it. Amanda, thanks, Jack. You guys, including Emma and Kelly, are really helpful, and I love that you are still in development and are taking suggestions. I've enjoyed the BookFunnel presentations today. Excellent. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. Tracy asks, what's the biggest platform for live streaming? Well, that's a loaded question. So the biggest platform for the live streaming itself is probably Twitch, but that's mostly people watching other people play video games. Oh, the biggest platform is not necessarily what you want to go for. For authors right now, the best platform is probably going to be TikTok, because Book Talk is all over the place there. You have Facebook, YouTube. But keep in mind with streaming platforms, if you stream directly on TikTok, you're only streaming on TikTok. But with certain streaming services, you can stream to multiple platforms at once. And so you could have your stream live everywhere if you wanted it to be and find more readers that way. So you could be on Twitch, you could be on YouTube, you could be on Kick, you could be on TikTok, you could be live everywhere on every social media platform. You could be live on Instagram. Right. And most of those live streaming platforms allow you to filter all messages into one place, control how your stream looks on multiple platforms. That's why I'm saying it's going to be a webinar one of these days, because there's a lot to it. But if you're looking at one platform to start with, I would say TikTok is probably it. And I think live streaming is probably the most underutilized feature on TikTok for authors. Everybody's talking about Book Talk all over the place, this, that, and the other, and posting on TikTok. And honestly, I think live streaming is your best bet to connect with readers in a way that's different from just posting stuff on TikTok. Like, again, that's a rabbit hole. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Like I said, that's going to be a webinar unto itself. But yeah. Are there any good tutorials for live streaming for authors? Laura, good question. There probably are. But if not, I will be making one in the next few months, because I'm stoked for this whole thing. I'll probably have it ready to go. Heck, that might even be BookFunnel Live from Author Nation. I think that's what we might do, is do basically a full webinar tutorial on how you would do this on TikTok with ebook signing and do the whole thing, because I think it's very valuable. Live streaming authors, we struggle with like the visibility element on social media, because so much of the work that we do is hidden from readers. Like if I'm an artist creating paintings, I can just paint on stream and people are like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool, right? Any other type of art, almost any other type of art, which is physical, it's very easy to see. But with authors, it's like, it's all in our head, right? So we have to show people like the finished product or something like that. But having tools like this, I think, will make it easier. Jim asks, can we sign BookFunnel books they already have in their libraries? So Jim, this is a good question. This is something that, I'll be quite honest with you, I have yet to test, but I'm glad you asked, because typically how this would work is that if a book is updated and then it gets added to, well, first of all, if a book is updated, it becomes updated in that reader's BookFunnel library immediately. However, what we're doing here is we're creating a unique version of the book specifically for that reader. So I assume what would happen is if they already had that book in their library and then you sign a copy of the book, it would be added as a separate book in their library. So they would have two copies of it, one that's signed and one that isn't, if that book already exists in their BookFunnel library, or if it gets added at some point later in the future, they would probably exist as two separate books, is my guess. That would be my guess. And that would be kind of how we would have to manage it, because each book object is control, the access to that is controlled, right, by like who's received it. So if you were able to sign the book that's already in their library, that could be a little tricky how we would manage that. I'm sure Damon and everybody else on the dev team could figure it out. But my guess is that it would be a separate book at this point in time. Cynthia points out, yes, it's according to where your readers lurk on either TikTok or YouTube. That's where the platform you'd want to stream. Yes, you could, if you're already building an audience there, then yes. Meg asks, will it cost more? In other words, is this another paid feature? You're gonna have to upgrade and pay BookFunnel more money? No, this is going to be added to, I will point out, it will not be added to the first-time author plan. First-time author plan pretty much has all the features that it's ever going to have. But if you're in the mid-list author plan, you will have access to this feature. We are planning to also roll out some more premium versions of the feature for those on the bestseller plan as well, to do some more powerful things with it eventually. Is it customary to charge for a personalized author signed ebook? If you're doing that, depending on the context, it could be a nominal fee. It's totally within your right to do that. It depends on how you're doing it as well. Like if people are buying signed copies from your website, or if they're pre-ordering signed copies, yeah, that's probably the context where readers would be more willing to do that. If you're doing a signing event, you could also theoretically charge for because at signing events, it's often customary for readers to buy the book there. They might bring their own book that they already have, but they can buy the book there and then get it signed by the author, just like they would do with a paperback or a hardback. They could buy the ebook from you. So that is an option as well. However, I think the biggest power use of this feature is probably to use it to grow your mailing list, in my opinion. But yes, you could. Yes, you could. That's just my perspective. Nancy says, great idea. I think readers will love it. I do too. And Jenna, the biggest platform is where your audience is. Yes, this is true. This is true. But for those who haven't built a platform on social media yet, I think the place that you're going to get the most engagement right now would probably be TikTok. At this point in time, if you're starting from scratch, it is probably one of the easiest platforms to build a platform on at this present time, because it's one of the new players to the game. That said, if you're really comfortable on a different platform, you totally could. Some platforms that are harder to build a platform on, I keep saying platform, but some social media sites that are harder to build a platform on would include Facebook. That one can be a little bit harder to build a platform on, but TikTok is a bit easier. YouTube is a little bit harder than TikTok. Instagram is kind of in that corner, kind of medium tier, right? Along with YouTube. TikTok is definitely a little bit easier. Facebook is a little bit harder, just because of how the Facebook feed works. That is true. Back to this point out, you do have to have a certain number of followers to live stream on TikTok. It is not 1,000, however. I think it's lower than that. I have live streamed on TikTok myself, not through my author account, but through a different one. I do have a life outside of BookFunnel. So you can, it is not 1,000 subscribers. Is, I think you might be thinking YouTube is where you can get monetization. On TikTok, I'm not sure what streaming is, but it is less than 1,000. Their monetization is at a different benchmark as well. But monetization is not necessarily what you want to be worried about, in my opinion. Yeah, so Deanne says, I agree about TikTok. I bought several signed books from authors there on TikTok. Yes, authors are doing it. I think more authors are going to be doing it. The more authors that are doing it, I think is better as it becomes more expected. And there's kind of a built-in audience there with BookTok. There is some overlap with BookTube, people on YouTube as well, but BookTok is probably the most active. So if they have a signed copy in their library and we update the book, will that update the signed copy? Will the copy still be signed? So that is a good question. That is a good question. I'm assuming how this is going to work is that if you're updating the book itself, that's only going to affect the unsigned copies. That's something our team would have to test. So I'm going to even make a note of that because that's a very good question. There we go. But it should not erase the signed copy that they received. Jenna says it used to be 1,000 for lives. Yeah, I think that was 2 years ago. It is definitely lower than 500. On the account I was streaming from, I think it was around 100 or something like that. So I think this live stream capability has been decreased. On YouTube, for example, it's 50. Monetization and adding a link to your profile is something different. Yes, 200. Okay. Beck, put it in there. It's 200. Yes, it's lower than what it used to be. The ability to live stream on TikTok. So there we go. All right, folks. If you have any more questions, you can go ahead and put those in the Zoom chat. We've been here for about an hour, which is about what I expected. I expected the majority of this to be questions, which is great. There's definitely some things that might change for this feature. Again, you guys are kind of seeing the feature as it is now at this stage. It's definitely going to evolve over time, though. We have some big ideas for it. I have things I'm not at liberty to share, to be honest with you. I really want to share them, but I can't. There's lots of, and nobody asked about it either. So I know once we release it, everybody's going to be surprised. Like if somebody had asked about those things, which I am not at liberty to say, I might have thrown a wink, but no, nobody asked. So I know that like the ideas that we have for this go beyond even what questions have been asked here for today. That's how I'm handling the fact that I can't just share everything with you guys at this point in time. If you come to Author Nation, maybe I can whisper some secrets in your ear. Patricia does have a question though. So here, what if you're using BookFunnel as a delivery for direct sales, right? So if you're using direct sales and you want to deliver a signed ebook, and this would be presuming, Patricia, that you're wanting to do a signed ebook individual for each reader, I would just tell your readers when they purchase that book, you wouldn't be using direct sales delivery for it. You would be using this new feature instead, and they should expect to receive their signed copy within, again, 24 to 48 hours or something like that, because you're going to have to manually sign them if you're going to use this feature. If you just want to do like a template signature and they get the signed version of the ebook, and you're not actually signing each individual copy for each individual reader as they purchase it through your direct store, you just need to upload a book that contains that signature and then sell that as a unique product that you link to BookFunnel. But that's technically different from what we're talking about here, which is the ability to create a unique signed ebook for each reader, if that makes sense. Lewis, I'm glad that you learned a lot here today. I'm glad it was helpful. Again, like I said, guys, this feature is still in development, so there's definitely some things that can change. You guys had some great input as well, too, like custom colors and so forth. Really, really appreciate that insight from you guys. Let's see. Beck, I would probably set up a new item for digital delivery that doesn't deliver anything, but collects the information, then send them a personalized copy after the fact. Yep, that's how you can do it. And realistically, if you're using BookFunnel for direct sales delivery, right, you could sell this book and you wouldn't have to create a BookFunnel delivery action for it. I would just have in the confirmation and obviously in the product description say like it's going to take like this amount of time for you to get your book. I know, Jim. Well, it is a tease. I am teasing, but what am I teasing? That's a question. Yes. Again, like I said, if anybody had guessed it, maybe I would throw a wink, but that's as far as I can go. Lots of people are pre-signing physical books. I would love to pre-sign ebooks and put them on my shop. Shanna, that is great. I am adding that one to the list because that is one way to do it. Excellent. Yes, November is the target. So you have it ready for Christmas sales, Deanne asks. That's the goal. That's the goal. Now with feature development, things can happen. There can be some hurdles, but I wouldn't be showing this to you, and we wouldn't have shown it at RWA if we weren't confident that we were going to have it ready to go in time. Ooh, so Tracy, so are you teasing video signatures, or is it even or is it even cooler? Sorry. Okay, video signatures is not the thing that I cannot share. Although that would be kind of interesting. Here's what I can share. One thing I can share is we're also looking into the idea that you would be able to use your device, let's say like a tablet or a smartphone, which has a camera. You take a selfie with the reader and then you can sign that picture. We don't have that ready. I don't have that ready to show yet, but that is something that we are looking at adding to the functionality in the future. But that's also not the thing that I'm hiding from you, because there's another thing that I can't tell you. So yeah. Let's see. So question here from Matt, it's sort of a 2-table system. So this would be for like in-person events where they can sign up at one station or one device over here, and then they come up to you over here, and then you just sign it. That is a good note. I'm going to add that here because some of that stuff our dev team has explored, but it's not necessarily available on this demo yet. There's things that I don't have access to just yet. Oh, Tammy asks, Jack, and Jack is in all capital letters, by the way. Could I embed an animated GIF of my signature signing itself? That would be amazing. Yes, it would. I'm adding it to the list. Tammy, that's a good one. That would be, yeah. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a wizard. That's what we refer to the dev team as. I'm not one of the wizards, so I can't make any promises, but that would be cool. Let's see. I have digitally signed versions of my ebooks in my fourth wall store already delivered by BookFunnel, but this is next level. Yes. So like others have said already, yeah, you can add a digital signature to an ebook fairly easily. Do your signature, add it somewhere in the ebook, but you're creating a single book, and then that gets delivered to everybody. Everybody gets the same thing. But with this method, it would be individual for each reader. MJ, would you be able to sign audiobooks? Maybe. We'll see. Ooh, audiobooks with the narrators. Yeah, that could be if the narrator is there. I guess the question is the narrator there? So, all right, folks, I think we're going to wrap things up here for today. We're really excited about this feature. I hope you guys are as well. If you are coming to Author Nation in Vegas, you'll get to meet me in person, which that's enough to come to Author Nation as it is. But the rest of the BookFunnel team, I'm not that full of myself, believe me. But you'll get to meet all the rest of the team, all of the Jamies at BookFunnel. You guys have watched that episode of the podcast, right? You go watch that episode of the podcast. But yes, if you can't make it to Vegas, we will be doing BookFunnel Live from Vegas. That is the plan. So in a few months here, when you come to one of these webinar sessions, I will be at BookFunnel Live. I'll be at Author Nation doing BookFunnel Live. You'll get a little taste of the Author Nation experience. So join us there. And it'd be great to see you all there. We will be showcasing the feature, and again, hopefully around that time it will be released. So yeah, stop by and say hi, and if you happen to be there, and if not, join us for BookFunnel Live while we're there at Author Nation, and we might have more to share. Like I said, there's lots of things to do with this feature, even more than what I've mentioned today. I want to thank you all for joining me today for this session. It's been a good time. You guys have had lots of questions. If you have more questions, if you're like, I have more burning questions I need to know answers to, email us, support@bookfunnel.com. And say, hey, you can even say, hey, Jack, answer this question, and they'll put it in my email queue, and I will reply to you directly, right? If you have specific questions, and I'll get back to you on those as soon as I can. Thank you all for joining us today. This has been another BookFunnel Live. You guys have been great. I will see you next month in September. For next BookFunnel Live, we'll be announcing those sessions toward the end of August, exactly what we're going to be doing there. And of course, probably anticipating some of the new features here. I might have updates to share with you then as well. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and I will see you all next month for our next BookFunnel Live. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.